It may have started with a missed goal, a mistake many players have made in their careers, but for Ronaldo, it was the moment that changed everything. Thousands of fans had gathered at Santiago Bernabéu Stadium that day, humming and chanting Ronaldo's name. It was the Champions League semi-finals, Real Madrid against Barcelona. It was another game where Ronaldo was expected to shine and show his greatness on the football field, a night he couldn't dare disappoint. To some fans, he was a god who couldn't disappoint. To others, he was good for entertainment. The match started like any other match in the world of football. Ronaldo led his team with the usual determination. His presence electrified the pitch. His moves were swift and light. The chants of his name became louder. The ball moved swiftly between players as minutes ticked. 72 minutes into the game, Messi, with his brilliant skills, broke through Ronaldo's defense, scoring a goal that drove fans wild. Ronaldo stood near the penalty arc, hands on his hips, sweat dripping down his forehead. His legs were heavier than usual, and his breathing was slightly erratic. The stadium lights glared down at him, hot and daunting. He could feel all eyes on him as the camera zoomed in on him. He could hear the commentators in his mind dissecting what he did wrong. Haggard playing, certainly not what we were expecting to see. But you know, some days are like that. Sometimes you bring your best, sometimes you get bored. Is this the beginning of the end? A teammate patted him on the back. Ronaldo shrugged him off, muttering something under his breath. Minutes later, the referee made a questionable call. Ronaldo stormed toward him, yelling. A yellow card was flashed. The stadium fell into a daunting silence. He accepted that maybe the time had come for him to retire. Time was slipping away. However, instead of trying to score, he repeatedly glanced at the digital clock like he couldn't wait to be done. The season had been brutal. His numbers were still respectable, but by his standards, he knew he wasn't giving his best, or he was giving his best, but it wasn't enough. In every match, he didn't perform like the demigod people expected. He went home with bruises more painful than the physical ones. Ronaldo isn't the same, the headlines said. He's slowing down. Messi has surpassed him. For decades, he heard those 4 lines repeated in his ear every time he had a misstep. He endured, countered it, and doubled efforts to make up for the last one. Suddenly, he couldn't stomach it anymore. It felt too heavy and suffocating. The minutes bled away as the stadium buzzed with tense energy, especially for his fans. 89 minutes into the match, the moment came. The ball flew in from the right flank, perfectly made for him. The kind of ball he had finished 1,000 times. He leapt as time slowed. The crowd held its breath, and magic was about to be created. His right foot connected with the ball, and the midair kick was powerful and precise, everything it needed to be. Unfortunately, it sailed over the bar. Gasps filled the air, and hands flew to faces. The commentators were stunned. The stadium went quiet for a moment. He landed awkwardly, staggering forward, eyes locked on the net. He realized his mistake. He didn't score. The final whistle blew, and it was game over. Barcelona won against Real Madrid, and Ronaldo stood frozen. The criticism already started pouring out from the crowd. He imagined the backlash he would get for missing that one goal, and his heart immediately sank. The camera zoomed in on his face, jaw tight, and hands on his hips. His eyes burned with more than just frustration. He didn't clap for the fans or shake hands. He simply turned and walked off the field. Thousands of cameras tore through the crowd, following him as he walked out. The coach shouted his name. His teammates called after him. However, he didn't stop. He walked past the sideline, through the tunnel, and disappeared. The stadium erupted into chaos. Cristiano Ronaldo had just left the pitch, mid-game, and in front of the world. The tunnel swallowed him whole. The roar of the stadium faded behind him, replaced by the silence of the inner corridors. His footsteps echoed, hurried and uneven. His chest rose and fell quickly with shallow breaths. The locker room was empty. He ripped off his jersey and threw it across the room. Just then, the door burst open. "Cristiano!" Coach's voice stirred the silence in the locker room. Ronaldo turned. Although he was looking at his coach, he couldn't see him, and his eyes blurred with tears. The coach's face was red, his frown too deep to notice the teary eyes staring back at him. "What the hell was that?" he roared. "Walking off the pitch with minutes left? In a Champions League semi-final?" Ronaldo clenched his jaw. He had nothing to say. He wasn't thinking. He just sat there, hands on his knees, staring at the floor. The cameras barged in. The Champions League drone hovered around them. The coach sighed, rubbing his temples gently before he walked up to him. Is this about the trade? Ronaldo paused and turned, surprise etched on his face. What trade? He was just frustrated about the season he's had. What trade are you talking about, coach? The coach's silence gave him the answer he needed. He gripped his head. His breathing grew faster. The suspicion he had carefully tucked away in the past week reappeared in his mind. He knew the club had been making silent moves, but he never thought they would consider pushing him out like this. Not after everything. The coach exhaled and sat across from him. It's not official yet, but the board has been in talks. They think it might be time. Your numbers are still good, but... He paused. Ronaldo's jaw clenched. I'm ready for it, he said calmly. They think your presence on the pitch isn't what it used to be. Look at the match we just had. Your presence on the field isn't what it used to be. Ronaldo curled his hands into a fist, but couldn't hold on to it. He was too stunned to feel anything else. He had sacrificed everything for this club. He bled for it, fought for it, and gave it his best. Unfortunately, they were already discarding him. His jaw tightened, and his heart pounded. Ronaldo shot his feet. He paced the locker room, his breath uneven. Amid this betrayal, he felt more frustration and pain. He wanted to speak, but words failed him. He couldn't talk. He couldn't think. His knees buckled in the twinkle of an eye, and he sank to the floor and gripped his head. His breathing grew faster and shallower. He struggled to inhale as much air, but his lungs seemed stuck. It was happening. He was unraveling a meltdown right in front of the world. The next morning, news of how the football legend had walked off the field mid-game after he failed to score went viral. Cristiano had cracked, but it wasn't just the pressure from the game, but the weight of expectations that surrounded him. His fate was no longer a secret. Hashtags trended worldwide. #Cristiano Meltdown. #Ronaldo sold out. The season had not been his best, but he gave it the same effort as the rest. However, after each match, the headlines hit like a blow. He was getting used to being bummed after each game. However, the last match wasn't like any other match. Rumors that existed only in the shadows, in hushed whispers, had finally come into the light. In the locker room situation, the rumors became news and a reality. The internet erupted. Ronaldo sat on the cold tile floor. His chest was a slow heave of uneven breaths. The locker room spun around him. The coach said something, maybe his name, but he didn't hear a thing. His words were distant, muffled. Trade. Not what you used to be. You have one more fight. Cameras flashed, capturing what should have been a private moment. Ronaldo watched the viral video, feeling embarrassed as he saw himself crying on TV. It felt like his downfall. His hands shook, and his breath shortened. His life and legacy seemed to be slipping away. The next morning, the most repeated words on the internet were, Cristiano Ronaldo, and the most viewed video was a 1-minute clip of the Real Madrid manager confirming his transfer. Cristiano Ronaldo has left Real Madrid, he announced. Sources close to the club confirmed that negotiations had been ongoing for weeks, and after last night's disaster, the decision has been made official. Ronaldo is set to join Saudi Arabian club Al Nassr in a record-breaking deal. A record-breaking deal, but it felt like a fall from grace. People said it was a fall from grace. Others, they called it the greatest act of rebellion in sports history. He was the headline of everything. Twitter was in flames. Podcasters drooled in their mouths, all in a frenzy about the mouth-watery topic of discussion. Football talk shows dissected every frame of the locker room video. Was this a mental breakdown or a calculated move? Conspiracy channels asked if Ronaldo was controlled by something bigger. Psychologists were called to interviews to talk about his body language during the breakdown. Some diagnosed him with depression. Like renowned psychiatrist Dr. Geller Harry said he had a rare case of anxiety-induced depression disorder. Screenshots of him tearing up filled the internet. He refuses to retire, then cries when scolded for not bringing value. What a child. People thought it was fake, clickbait, a joke. Theories went wild. So this was planned? They exiled him? Some fans commented, thinking of this as betrayal, but others saw it as punishment. Other players, especially his teammates, shook their heads in disbelief when asked if they knew about his trade. When asked if they still wanted him on the team, Ronaldo realized no one wanted him. A journalist complained, if Messi did this, people would crucify him. But because it's Ronaldo, they make excuses? Ronaldo then went silent, no statements, posts, or interviews. People went crazy, wanting him to speak, but his silence caused chaos. The media storm grew, with talk shows and news outlets attacking him. Some defended him, arguing he had given football everything, that maybe, just maybe, he deserved a moment of weakness. However, the louder voices drowned them out. He's finished, the tantrum of a man who can't handle growth. His former teammates distanced themselves. One by one, they were asked about Ronaldo. One by one, they hesitated. A second too long. A nervous laugh. Ronaldo saw it all. He sat in his dimly lit living room, his phone in his hands, watching people he once called friends hesitate to speak for him. Would you still want Ronaldo on your team? Some avoided the question, while others got upset. His heart pounded, his head throbbed. The whole world had already written him off before he could give up. He was sitting there, quietly staring into space, watching his career deteriorate before his very eyes. However, what happened next shocked him. His phone rang. He had no interest in talking, but when he glanced at the phone, he saw that the caller was his agent. He was reluctant, but eventually answered. His agent's voice was cautious but clear enough to hold his attention. They want you for one last match. Ronaldo didn't respond. The El Clasico charity match, his agent continued. A final showdown, Real Madrid versus Barcelona. Ronaldo ran a hand down his face. El Clasico, the greatest rivalry in football, his greatest battlefield. This was a chance to remind himself that he was the greatest. A chance to tell people that hard work and persistence brought him this far. What if he missed again? What if his legs got wobbly again, and the techniques he has repeated 1,000 times decided to fail him? What if they were right about his career? Would he be able to face the truth then? He took a deep breath and thought about it. Finally, he decided. I'll play. Whether I win or lose doesn't matter. I'll play because I enjoy football. I'll play because I am Cristiano Ronaldo. When Cristiano's participation in El Clasico was announced, social media exploded with reactions. The talk shifted from his career decline to his success. Some were excited about his comeback, while others were doubtful. Ronaldo returned to Madrid, where he became a legend and won many hearts. As soon as he walked through the gates of the mansion, his girlfriend was there to greet him. She gave him a silent hug. For a moment, nothing else mattered. All the noise outside faded. His coach's voice finally came to a stop. Not even the commentators and the fans could break through the walls of comfort he finally got. As soon as they broke apart, his children jumped on him. For the first time in a while, he smiled. They reminded him that there was a part of him that hadn't been a complete disaster. The next day, he stepped onto the training pitch, the same pitch he trained with his son. There were no cameras here scrutinizing his every step. His girlfriend, Georgina, and his son watched him play around the field. No one knew what was going on inside his head. However, the noise outside didn't fade. His old rivals took their jabs. Even former teammates questioned his decision. I don't know if this is the right move for him, an ex-teammate admitted on live TV. El Clasico is unforgiving. They'll eat him alive if he's not at his best. That was all he needed to train like a possessed man. Early mornings, late nights. He trained. Then finally it was game day. The whole world had gathered to witness his return in what was supposed to be a historic moment. It was clear to everyone at this point, whether he won or lost, that this game would go down in history as either his moment of redemption or the night that everything finally crumbled. As soon as he stepped onto the pitch, the roar of the crowd was deafening. Some cheered, others booed. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and waited for the whistle. For weeks, he pushed his body harder than he had in years. He studied his opponents and sharpened his instincts. Somehow, it had to pay off. Over 80,000 fans packed into the stands, and millions more watched from home. The tension was thick. The minutes before the match began were like an electric storm waiting to break out. A hand clapped his shoulder. This time, he didn't flinch or react. Cameras flashed. The chants of his name mixed with jeers of his doubters filled the stadium. You ready for this? His teammate asked. He didn't answer immediately. He hesitated for a second like he was contemplating an answer. Was he genuinely ready? His eyes scanned the pitch. Then they locked onto Messi. His old rival stood a few feet away, stretching, preparing. When Messi turned and their eyes met, no words were spoken. There was no need. They understood each other in a way no one else could. For over a decade, they had pushed each other to their limits. Then they defined an era together. Tonight, it would happen one last time. As the referee blew the whistle, he turned to his teammate and replied, "It is now or never." Barcelona took control early. Their passes were quick, precise, and smooth, and their rhythm was undeniable. Ronaldo found himself chasing the ball more than he played it. However, Messi, on the other hand, had found his rhythm, and before Ronaldo's teammates could reorganize their defense, he had already scored. The stadium exploded. Messi's teammates surrounded him, celebrating. The world of football is divided. Ronaldo stood still, hands on his hips, staring at the net. It was happening again. Cameras zooming in on him. Commentators making the goal his fault, like he could have stopped Messi, like he should have taken the keeper's place. However, he didn't let their comments get to him this time. The moment of celebration passed and the noise faded. Their commentaries subsided. The match began again. Ronaldo exhaled. The match has just begun. There's still time, he told himself. The first half came to an end. He was losing. Real Madrid was losing. On social media, #RemoveRonaldo trended. Back in the locker room, the coach told him the fans requested his substitution. They demanded it. Ronaldo smiled bitterly. Well, let's give them what they want. His reply confused the coach. You want me to replace you? He nodded, but he quickly added, just give me 20 minutes before the substitution. Real Madrid came back stronger. Ronaldo moved with newfound confidence. This time, he didn't chase after the ball. He demanded it. He got his moment in the first 10 minutes of the second half. It was a counterattack. A Real Madrid player sprinted down the left flank, urging past a defender before delivering a perfect cross. Ronaldo moved instinctively. A leap, a twist, a header, his signature header move. Goal, an equalizer. It was 1-1. The stadium erupted. His name sounded in jubilation throughout the stadium. Ronaldo! Ronaldo! He clenched his fists, exhaling sharply. The fire was back. For the next 15 minutes, the two teams clashed again and again. Tackles flew in. Passes grew sharper. Tension crackled in the air. Then, suddenly, unexpectedly, a foul just outside the penalty box. A free kick. All eyes turned on him. They all wanted to see Ronaldo's free kick. He took the ball. The crowd went silent, and then he placed it down carefully, adjusted it with precision. 3 steps back. He closed his eyes, imagining himself back home, in that pitch where he trained with his son. There was no space for doubt, and so he struck it. The ball soared, dipped at the last second, and slammed into the back of the net. A perfect knuckleball. It was a goal. His teammates sprinted toward him, and they hugged him in celebration. He had advanced them 2-1. However, Ronaldo didn't celebrate, and hadn't even done his iconic dance yet. He still owed himself one last goal, and he was going to have it. Barcelona pressed harder. They weren't going down without a fight. Every pass, every movement carried a desperate urgency. Time was slipping. They were on to the 18th minute, 2 minutes to his substitution time. After his teammate had taken the ball from the other team, Ronaldo ran through the center, pointing where he wanted it. The pass came, perfectly timed, one touch to control, one step to set up. Then he unleashed it. A right-footed strike from outside the box. The ball curved, slicing through the air like gravity was guiding it. The net ripped. Ronaldo had scored yet again. The stadium exploded. The cameras shook. The commentators lost their voices. Ronaldo stilled for a moment. He could hear his name being celebrated, but could not feel the moment himself. His teammates ran after him. However, before they could reach him, the moment finally registered. A hat trick. He turned around and sprinted toward the corner flag. He jumped, spinning mid-air before landing with his iconic stance. Shoo! The sound shook the entire arena. It felt like the match had ended, but it hadn't. His teammates swarmed him, and the crowd chanted his name. Looking at the crowd, he could only see his family smiling back at him with proud faces. He glanced at his coach and gave him a slight nod. Time to take me out. Give the people what they want. However, his coach couldn't bring himself to look him in the eye. He regretted the mean things he said to him last week. Seeing the hesitation, Ronaldo understood that he wouldn't be replaced. He hopped back into the field, scored one more goal, and assisted with another. The final whistle blew. It was done. The cameras zoomed in on him. Sweat dripped from his face. His breath was heavy. His expression? Triumphant. Pride. He had done it. He had silenced the doubters and critics who said he was finished. They had all been wrong. As he walked off the pitch, Messi approached him. They didn't need words. Their handshake carried all the conversations needed between two legends. This was the last dance. And Ronaldo had won it. Real Madrid had won. The headlines told a different story now. The doubts were gone. It wasn't a bad career. It was just a bad couple of games. The betrayal, the criticisms, the endless debates all faded into the background. Everything seemed forgotten. His coach approached him with a new deal. "You know we can cancel the trade." However, before he could even finish the sentence, Ronaldo interrupted. I'll go. I'll go play for Al Nassr." He had enjoyed his last match. Now it was time to take his legacy elsewhere. The world doubted him, mocked him, and even wrote him off. But just like that, Cristiano answered in the only way he knew how, with greatness. He had walked into the field as a fallen legend, but left the field with a reminder that he was one of the greatest to ever play the game. However, what did this moment truly mean for his legacy? Did Ronaldo prove his critics wrong, or did he delay the inevitable? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our page. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.